Pour me one of those, would you, Jimmy? And make it strong.
Long day at work, Anthony. Showing those biddies around Africa for what's it called?
Castle's select tours. And it's a regrettable necessity for cash. I assure you, it doesn't suit my temperament.
Looked like you suited theirs just fine. Tall drink of well-tanned water that you are. I tell you though, I wouldn't take that job of yours for anything.
Show me another and I'll jump out of it fast enough.
Isn't that a promise?
Why, you got something for me? Why haven't you grabbed it yourself?
I have something better came up, but I hate to leave those folks in a bind, so I thought I'd pass it on to you for a share of the pay.
I don't suppose it's in South America. Rather got my eye on that part of the world. There's a very tidy little revolution that could use my talents any day now.
You always were keen on revolutions, weren't you? Anything to be mixed up in a really good row. Anyway, sorry. No, it's in England. Are you in?
Oh, I'm in all right. The thing that worries me is why you're not taking it on yourself.
I'm after gold, Anthony. Far up in the interior of Africa.
And that gold's got nothing better to do than get scooped up and carted off by foreign adventurers like you.
To everyone his own hobby. Yours is rouse, mine's gold.
If you say so. So what's this job of yours?
I suppose you know all about Czechoslovakia?
Czechoslovakia.
Yes. Know anything about it?
Only what everyone knows. Balkan state, loads of mountains. Used to be a monarchy until their last king and queen assassinated. When was that?
7 years ago, I think. Nicholas the Fourth. Yes, and his actress wife, Queen.
Right. And it's been a republic ever since. What's it got to do with your job?
Ever heard of Count Stiltich?
Oh, him. The great Czechoslovakian statesman, or the greatest villain left to hang, depending on who you ask, and one of the cogs behind every Near Eastern political machination of the last 20 years. And what about him?
He was prime minister of Czechoslovakia once. That's why I mentioned that first.
Why didn't you lead with the Count? The country has barely any importance without the Count. It just provided him with a birthplace and a post in public affairs. And isn't he dead besides?
So he is. He died in Paris about 2 months ago. What I'm telling you about happened some years ago.
And what are you telling me about?
I'm getting there. I was in Paris about 4 years ago. I was walking along one night when I saw half a dozen French toughs beating up on an old man. I hate one-sided show, so I butted in and drove them off. I guess they'd never been hit really hard before. They melted like snow.
Good for you, Jimmy. I'd like to have seen that scrap.
Oh, it was nothing much. But the old boy was no end grateful. He'd had a few, but he was sober enough to get my name and address. And he came along and thanked me next day.
Count Stiltich himself, was it?
Sure enough. He'd moved to Paris after the assassination of King Nicholas. They wanted him to come back and be president. But he wouldn't have it, being a monarchist through and through. Rumor has it, he still had his thumb in every diplomatic pie in the Balkans, anyway.
My boy, if I'd wanted a history lesson, I'd still be at Oxford.
I'm getting there. After that whole affair, I came back to Africa and never thought of it again until about 2 weeks ago. I got a strange parcel that had been following me all over the place for Lord knows how long. Apparently, Count Stiltich had recently died in Paris, and the parcel contained his memoirs, and a note saying that if I delivered the manuscripts to a certain publishing firm in London on or before October 13th, they'd pay me £1,000 for it.
Did you say £1,000?
I did, my good man. I hope to God it's not a hoax, but you know what they say. Put not your trust in princes or politicians. And there you have it.
And sending it by post in a nice little parcel never crossed the Count's mind, I suppose.
Oh, who knows? Perhaps the Count was too aristocratic for common sense, or the book's full of indelicacies that can't be trusted to untrustworthy hands. Something like that. You know how memoirs are. At any rate, owing to the way the manuscript had been following me around, I had no time to lose. But I'd just fix up this gold-seeking expedition. And chances like this don't come twice.
You're incurable, Jimmy. £1,000 in the hand is worth a lot of mythical gold.
And supposing it's all a hoax? Anyway, here I am, passage booked and all. And then I bump into you this afternoon.
I begin to perceive your drift. You go gold hunting, and I collect the £1,000 for you. And how much is my share?
What do you say to a quarter?
Done. And just so you know, I would have done it for 100.
It's a deal. And confusion to Castle's select tours?
God, I hope so. May that parcel of cackling English hens get shipped home at once, and may Africa never have to lay eyes on them again.
By the by, since you'll be in England already, I have another favor to ask.
Oh, for pity's sake.
You see the point, Lady Caterham. We simply can't afford a scandal of any kind just now. The position is one of the utmost delicacy.
Oh, it always is.
Madam, I'm in a position to know. The Home Secretary has personally appointed me to oversee the affair. One slip over this Czechoslovakian business and we're done. It is most important that the new oil concessions be granted to a British company. You must see that.
Oh, quite so, quite so.
Prince Michael Obolovich arrives at the end of the week. The whole thing can be carried through at your country estate under the guise of a shooting party. Chimneys is open this time of year, is it not?
I was thinking of going abroad this week.
Nonsense, my dear. No one goes abroad in early October.
My doctor seems to think I'm in a rather bad state of health. In fact, I should probably go see him now.
My dear lady, I put it to you imperially. In a moment of national crisis, such as is fast approaching, it is paramount that we...
All right, fine, I'll do it. Chimneys shall be made available. We'll arrange the whole thing, I suppose.
My dear lady, there's nothing to arrange. Chimneys is ideally situated. I'll be at the Abbey, less than 7 miles away. It wouldn't do, of course, for me to actually stay among the house party.
Thank goodness. Oh, of course not, obviously.
Bill will be staying in my stead to run messages.
Delighted.
The shooting, of course, is not really important. Only the pretext. That's you, Bill, the prince, his suite, Herman Isaacstein.
Who?
Isaacstein, the representative of the British Oil Syndicate I mentioned. Do keep up, my dear. Then, of course, there ought to be one or two outsiders, just to give the whole thing a bona fide appearance. Lady Eileen could see to that, I imagine. Young people are so blissfully uncritical of politics.
Bundle would attend to that all right, I'm sure. She's sharper and more charming than you give her credit for.
Oh? Now, I wonder whether the charms of a lady could assist with that other matter I mentioned.
And what matter is that?
This unfortunate contretemps. The memoirs. Count Stilptich's memoirs.
Oh, that. I still think you're wrong about that. People like scandal. Damned enjoyable to read about.
The point isn't whether people will read them or not. They'll read them fast enough. But their publication at this juncture might ruin everything. Everything, I tell you. Certain parties in Czechoslovakia wish to restore the monarchy and are prepared to offer the crown to Prince Michael, who has the support and encouragement of His Majesty's government.
And who is prepared to grant concessions to Isaacton and Co. in return for a loan of $1 million or so to set him on the throne? Yes, yes.
Lady Caterham, discretion, please.
And we're oh so worried that some of Stalfich's reminiscences may upset the apple cart. Oh, what monsters these royals were. Why replace a democratic government with an obsolete capitalistic tyranny, etc., etc.? Is that it?
Worse still, suppose that some reference should be to that unfortunate disappearance. You know what I mean.
No, what?
You must have heard of it. Why, it happened while they were at Chimneys, after all.
Who or what are you talking about? Lomax, for God's sake, stop hissing in my ear.
The disappearance of the Koh-i-Noor diamond, Lady Caterham. Only one of the crown jewels vanished while Stilptich himself stayed at Chimneys. One of our nation's greatest embarrassments, if word were to get out. Suppose he set it down in his memoirs for the world to read. Think of the scandal. Everyone would ask, why was it hushed up?
Indeed we would.
I ask you, your ladyship, if he didn't mean mischief, why did he send the manuscript to London in this roundabout way?
Are you sure of your facts?
Absolutely. Our agents in Paris confirmed that the memoirs were conveyed away secretly some weeks before his death, spirited off to some man named Jimmy or James McGrath, a Canadian, at present in Africa.
Quite an imperial affair, isn't it?
This Jimmy is due to arrive by the steamship Grenard Castle tomorrow. It's crucial that we approach him once he arrives and either convince him to defer publication for at least a month or permit them to be judiciously edited.
Supposing he says no, sir, or I'll God-darned well see you in hell first, or something suitably Canadian like that.
That's just what I'm afraid of. So, supposing we invite him down to Chimneys as well. Flatter him, have him meet Prince Michael. It might be easier to handle him that way.
Well, I am not going to do it. I don't get on with the Canadians, never have.
So, it occurred to me that the right kind of woman could handle the whole thing delicately and with tact, put the position before him, as it were, without getting his back up. A woman in her own domestic sphere can do wonders, you know.
I hope you don't mean bundle. She's a red-hot socialist if she's anything at all, and she'd simply scream with laughter at the suggestion.
Well, your daughter is undisputably charming, Lady Caterham. We need someone with a more developed appeal. Someone with savoir-faire, poise, knowledge of the world. My cousin Virginia, the widow rebel.
Oh, I do enjoy Virginia ever so much. Most charming young lady in London, I dare say.
And she's well versed in Czechoslovakian affairs as well. Late husband at the embassy there, you remember. Yes, she's the perfect candidate to bring this Jimmy into the fold. There, that matter's settled. Now, to the new business.
Oh, taxi. Very good then, Lomax. Sounds perfect. You'll make all the arrangements, won't you? Bye-bye.
What is it about women makes them so eager to end pleasantly productive conversations?